Welcome to our webinar about project-based learning professional development. We have experienced both successes and failures in our professional development efforts, but each iteration gets better than the one before it. We share with you here some lessons we have learned along the way in hopes of getting you started on your journey, and we welcome your questions and feedback as we journey forward too. Our presenters today are Westwood High School's professional development team. Cheryl Guy, our principal, Joe Eberlin, assistant principal for curriculum and instruction, Ashley Ospelmeyer, lead teacher and project-based learning instructional coach, and Laura Coulter, technology and learning coach. Westwood High School in Richland School District 2 opened in 2012. Ralph Schmidt was principal when we opened, and Cheryl was the assistant principal for curriculum and instruction at that time. They set a vision for the school to be a place of 21st century learning. We were opening as one of the first one-to-one computing high schools in the district, and we envisioned a school where students would be engaged in real-world project-based learning. We visited schools such as High Tech High in San Diego, California, to learn more about how PBL worked at other schools, and to help us as we shaped our vision. We learned valuable lessons and haven't looked back since. This is our story. Based on feedback from our faculty over the last 5 years of our professional development efforts, we are able to identify some distinct practices that teachers love and learn from, as well as some distinct practices that have been ineffective at best. In this webinar, we share some key points that fall into these 3 categories. What might we stop doing? What might we continue doing? And what might we start doing? Words like might and we are used very intentionally here. We already know there is no one-size-fits-all solution to the complex challenge of teaching and learning, and that holds as true for teacher development as it does for student content knowledge. These are just our suggestions, based on our teachers and our leadership styles. You will have to find what works for you. Also, this is very much a team effort. One person cannot manage all professional development of a faculty, just as one person cannot teach every subject to every child in your school. It is a team effort, and just as project-based learning puts more ownership and leadership of learning back on students, our professional development aims to put more ownership and leadership of learning back on teachers. Over the last 5 years, we've collected data and feedback from simple surveys via Google Forms and formal surveys from companies and universities, from year-long committees to small team meetings with the principal, all in efforts to understand our teachers' needs and learning styles. Here are some highlights of what we have learned. What might we stop doing in our efforts to lead project-based learning professional development? Stop teaching project-based learning through direct instruction. Half the battle when it comes to teaching anything is convincing the learner to care about learning it. So we have articles and slide decks and elevator pitches and testimonials and even quantitative data now, all to show the benefits of using project-based learning. But as we try to convince teachers this change is worth it for students, we don't change. We model the opposite. We say PBL engages students. It is so much more effective and results in deeper learning than traditional teaching methods like lecture. But we show, despite PBL being more effective and engaging, lecture is still more efficient and likely always will be. And I didn't have time to plan a cool project, so I made this slide deck to present to you instead. And do what I say and not what I do. The result of this type of professional development is about what you might expect. Teachers nod and agree, discuss and argue, and then go back to the classroom with little to no change. How can we expect them to dive deeply into PBL if we don't jump in first? Teachers have no reason to believe that project-based learning is better if we don't demonstrate it is by using it with all learners. And they have no reason to try PBL when we are unwilling to try it ourselves. Not only do teachers need the examples and models to learn what PBL looks, sounds, and feels like, but they also need to understand the professional expectation is that they will try PBL. And we wouldn't expect something of our teachers that we were unwilling to do ourselves. You're teaching project-based learning to your teachers for a reason. Use it. Stop asking teachers to attend PBL professional development empty-handed. This lesson is hard learned. Unfortunately, just as students are conditioned to expect school to be a certain way, think traditional direct instruction, note-taking, questions in the textbook, worksheets, summative multiple choice tests, etc., teachers have also been conditioned to expect PD to be a certain way. I show up, you do most of the work telling me whatever new information someone wants me to have. I listen to you tell me, while I also might check some email or grade a few quizzes. You give me handouts with all the information I need, so if I wasn't listening, I still have it. And ultimately, I get PD credit just for being in the room with you. It's easy to require that teachers attend professional development and have them sign in to prove they were there. Have you ever had students physically present in your classroom who you knew weren't attending to the lesson? It's difficult for learners to learn new material when they aren't arriving prepared to do so. Teachers need to invest something into the process beforehand to get something out of the professional development. If they don't have to do anything to prepare to learn, then they aren't prepared to learn. You might be asking, if teachers are brand new to project-based learning, how could they already have something to bring to a PD session? Okay, so what teachers bring to various PD workshops may change as they progress, but we suggest assigning homework, asking them to always bring something to prepare for what they will learn, and then we typically assign them a new task upon leaving the session, to go out and practice or use what they have learned. The idea is to engage your learners. In professional development, teachers are our learners. Each time you develop a session, include pre-work. Ask your learners for feedback on the value of the pre-work after each session, and use that information to build your toolbox of what works. That toolbox is a lifesaver. And finally, stop forcing it. It's tempting to soften the PBL changes scary blow by telling teachers, well, it's actually not that different, or you've likely been doing this all along, just calling it something else. Or you can just take the pieces that work for you and leave the rest. But more often than not, that's not true, and it's not project-based learning. And unfortunately, it doesn't snowball and eventually result in project-based learning either. Teachers just say, right, I've been doing this all along. Good, so I don't need to change anything. Or, I'll let them work in groups on this assignment. That's the same as project-based learning. And they go on their merry way, and who can blame them? They simply believe what you told them. Requiring all teachers to do project-based learning, particularly on your timetable as opposed to theirs, is counterproductive. Teachers who haven't had the chance to learn more about PBL, but try to comply with all the requirements, feel at loose ends trying to meet this one. Teachers who have deliberately avoided learning about PBL will resent the requirement, and they will either try to come up with something that slides by if you talk about it with the right spin, or refuse to do it altogether with a what are you going to do about it attitude. That's definitely not a community builder. Teachers who have some experience with PBL and plan to meet the requirements might teeter on the edge of resentment if the PBL isn't as successful as they had hoped. And what are you going for, compliance or intrinsic motivation? You want people to want to do it, so work with them, encourage them, support them, but don't force them. What might we continue doing in our efforts to lead project-based learning professional development? Continue letting teachers learn from one another as much as possible. One of the strategies where we saw the most growth is when teachers learned from other teachers. We had some teachers planning cross-curricular projects and others presenting professional development on technology and classroom practices that worked well for them. Teachers value hearing from others who are in their same position, so hearing how other teachers used tools intrigued them, and attendance was higher than normal. This was an opportunity we could build on. We are implementing a campus-wide Pineapple chart next year inspired by Cult of Pedagogy. The Pineapple chart allows teachers to write down what they are doing in class on particular days of the week as an invitation for other teachers to come see. There are no requirements for using this chart. Teachers who visit other rooms don't have to write reflections, or fill out forms, or jump through any other hoops to prove they visited a classroom. They just need to watch for as much or as little time as they would like. We will use incentives to gain momentum and then capitalize on the great conversations about what they are seeing and doing by encouraging teachers to hold mini PD sessions during lunch. This will be a great way for teachers to see PBL in action without pressure, and they need to see it as it really is in a classroom with a colleague. We can talk to them about how to monitor group work or how to use team contracts, and we can pull articles and examples all day long, but they need to just see it. Watching another teacher try it, succeed at it, or even make some mistakes with it can give another teacher the courage to try in her own classroom. Continue showcasing and celebrating teachers' efforts with project-based learning. Each year, we hold a teacher showcase where teachers show off a project or a lesson they are particularly proud of from that year. Teacher feedback has been excellent. They love seeing what others are doing in the classroom and ask to continue doing the showcase each year. It has been inspiring. Many teachers asked to be able to access all the showcases because they didn't have time to see them all during our short meeting. So we created an archive online so we can continue to capture the creativity on our campus and share it with others. This is another area where we have room to expand and allow teachers to learn from each other. We are considering having a showcase each semester. Some of the feedback we have received from teachers is that they would like to see some examples earlier in the year so they can implement them that same year. Major PBLs are showcased on a broader scale. For example, our Studio D Magnet program, which capitalizes on interdisciplinary design thinking and project-based learning daily, hosts regular presentations of learning when students finish a major design challenge. Student work and reflection, as well as the teacher's lessons, ideas, and strategies, are all showcased during these presentations, so the audience can truly appreciate the learning process. We want to emphasize the growth and the journey, not just any one final product, and presentations of learning help us do that. In this way, presentations of learning and teacher showcases indirectly show audiences that it is a process, that failure can be okay, that there are bumps in the PBL road, and that's true whether you're brand new to it or a seasoned veteran. But these showcases also show the leadership team's support of teachers. It shows that we value their work, their process, and it allows us to celebrate success, both big and small. Continue triaging your teachers to assess their needs. So you want everyone on your faculty to start PBLing? Us too. We would help everyone all the time with everything if we could, and if we thought that was in their best interest. But we also know that learners learn when they are ready, and not a moment before. What if your project-based learning PD plan targeted only those teachers who are most ready to learn what you have to teach? And what if you chose not to worry about others just yet? Quick surveys, written reflections, and conversations can quickly help you triage teachers' needs when it comes to project-based learning. Who is still resisting project-based learning with all their might? No problem. Grant yourself permission to leave them there for now. They'll still be there when you get back. Who is moving out in front, usurping your role, eager to get on with it already? Good. Send them on ahead, preferably together, safety in numbers. And maybe they can even encourage more of the walking wounded to join them. We can still catch up with all of them later, showcase and celebrate their work, and with any luck, add them to our PD leadership team. And who is stranded, in need of rescue? It's not that they don't want to come along, but they can't walk on their own right now, and they may need to be carried until they feel up to it. This is who we focus on first. These are the teachers we can help most effectively. These teachers need us to work alongside them, carrying them at times, so they can walk through a PBL and make it out on the other side. And once they have had this first experience, then teachers are in a place to reflect, make changes, try again, ask meaningful questions, etc. Coaching and peer observations are key elements to the scaffolding needed for these teachers. A coach can provide feedback and some direction. Peer observations give these teachers hope. Yes, I can get there. I see it working now, and I know what I should try next. What might we start doing in our efforts to lead project-based learning professional development? Start personally inviting teachers to professional development that is relevant to them as individuals. You hadn't heard? Teachers love mass emails, reply-alls, and especially the infamous shotgun approach. We have found that sending an emailed invitation to 100 faculty members rarely results in them feeling invited or showing up. But when you walk by and talk to someone in person, casually mention that you'd love to see them at the session because it's perfect for what they are currently doing in class, that's when you make a connection. When you personalize the invitation, you build relationships, making sure it actually does meet their needs and you've built trust. This ties directly back into triage and knowing where your teachers are on the project-based learning continuum. This is too big to do with everyone. You would be exhausted trying to talk to everyone. Focus your attention on the teachers who need what you have to offer right now. You can catch others on your next PBL PD design. Start modeling PBL and reflection. Do teachers in your school have opportunities to see project-based learning in action? Do you model it for them to develop project-based learning as part of your school culture? When Westwood first opened, we drew teachers from the other high schools in the district, and everyone had their own version of the way we do things. We had to help our faculty and staff recalibrate their expectations and come to consensus about the new way we do things. And we knew our expectations included student-centered, project-based, experiential learning. So what better way to get everyone moving in this same direction than opening with some PBL? The spring before our school opened, faculty and staff who had been hired or identified as those who would transfer met off-site for an initial faculty meeting. But this was no sit-and-get faculty meeting. Teachers were put in teams, given video cameras, and sent back out to visit community members and businesses, tasked with interviewing people in the local area about their thoughts and hopes regarding our new high school. Teacher teams then edited that footage and presented their videos to the larger group that afternoon. I bet you're starting to imagine all the good stuff we got from this activity. Teachers spending time collaborating on a shared goal and getting to know one another, instead of sitting and listening to a talking head. Teachers experiencing PBL firsthand, even if they don't know what it's called yet or exactly how it works. Local community members getting to meet teachers who may be teaching their children, their future employees, their neighbors. Teachers able to hear, ask questions about, and consider the locals' hopes and fears for the new school. School leadership showing that they value teachers' time and talents and that they would rather get them moving and working than sitting in silent compliance. And of course, after all the groups shared discoveries from their sojourn into the community, the faculty as a whole has that feedback to work from as they shape the new school and the upcoming school year. Data-based decision-making at its finest with PBL to boot. Start emphasizing a bias toward action. Think about the mindsets and methods that PBL embraces. Consider why we want more teachers and students doing project-based learning. Experiential learning, revising after failure or disappointment, timely and specific feedback from others, reflecting on past performance to improve future efforts. If we know these practices are best for learners, then should we not offer our teachers the same? We must push learners, all learners, to jump. Stop talking about it and planning it and thinking about it and worrying about it and just do it already. And if it doesn't work, we can try again tomorrow. Grit and resilience, perseverance of effort, are skills every successful person will fall back on time and again. And we know these skills can be taught and practiced. Psychologists have identified some of the factors that make someone resilient. Among them, a positive attitude, optimism, the ability to regulate emotions, and the ability to see failure as a form of helpful feedback. But in order to see failure as a form of helpful feedback and learn to value the process as much as the product, people need to try. When we're scared or anxious or unsure, we naturally procrastinate or overplan or hesitate to call something finished or ready. We want our work to be perfect before we submit it. But we also know nothing is ever perfect, and sometimes the only way to get feedback and to make something better is to turn it in already. Help your teachers develop a bias toward action. Model it, believe in it, and make your school culture one where we all learn by doing, teachers included. As you are planning your project-based learning professional development, think about some of the points we've covered here. Stop teaching PBL through traditional direct instruction. Stop asking teachers to come to PD empty-handed, and stop forcing it. These are all ways to turn PBL into a great weight on your teachers. Continue letting teachers learn from one another as much as possible. Continue showcasing their efforts with PBL. Continue triaging your teachers and assessing their needs. It's always a growth and learning experience. Start personally inviting individuals and small groups to participate in your PD. Start modeling project-based learning and having teachers reflect regularly on their experiences. Start emphasizing a bias toward action. The idea is to start. Thanks very much for joining us. We value your time and your feedback. We hope we've helped shed some light on what works for us in project-based learning professional development, and we would love to hear your ideas too. Please get in touch and let us know what helped, what you found not to be the case at your school, what new ideas you tried, and of course, what further questions you have. We have questions too, and questions can be far more valuable than answers. So the question we leave you with is, How might you engage teachers in project-based learning professional development?